Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Ray on Pharcyde TV, and my co-host Jeremy Scipio is in New York doing this thing. He just gets busier and busier, but that's all right. Have a very special
You
guest
got
tonight.
me.
Yeah, got a very special guest, Mr. Mike Relm. I've hit many early morning breakfast and late night dinner around the world with this cat.
We've
Trampled.
eaten our way across the globe.
Yeah, that's matter of factly. That's matter of factly. So nah man, thank you for tapping in. And this will be a very interesting conversation.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. So you've been on a couple times. We switched the format up a little bit. Uh what was the first hip hop song that you played multiple times in a row?
Ooh. Oh, you mean like on repeat?
Yeah.
Oh, Humpty Dance.
Humpty Dance.
Yeah. That was the first song that I just kept playing over and over and over. First song I memorized. First, just like yeah, that's an easy one. That was on repeat.
So since you're from the Bay, was it a Bay Area thing that made you do that, or you just felt that the song was that dope?
Probably both. I mean, to me, when I was growing up, I didn't really realize like there was like a regional thing. I didn't know where anyone was from. Well, I mean, I knew they were from the Bay, but like I just assumed that a lot of stuff was local, um, at least on the West Coast. But yeah, I mean, like it was just a dope. It was playing all the time on the radio, and then I bought, uh, Sex Packets, and then I was like, oh, there's all kinds of stuff on this. But then I bought the single for Humpy Nuts because it had all the remixes and stuff. And it was just like, yeah, it was a wrap. That was me.
Were you coming out with us when we did that show in New Orleans? And he was next. We had the little jazz bar next to the.
Yep.
Oh man,
And he played for like 3 hours.
yeah, the 3 hour rendition of Humpty Dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did go down.
Dude, I
You
was
know,
loving it. I was like, oh my God. Yes, keep going.
rest in peace, Shock G, man. We crossed
Yeah.
paths several times.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think their first album gets the credit that it deserves. Not because of Tupac and
Mm.
all that, but it's interesting because I kind of got into that first album. My homeboy Bert's brother Woody was in the army at the time, and he had gotten a hold of the album. And I want to say, if it wasn't Desert Storm, there was some type of a there was some type of war going on, and
Mm.
like his thing was just like really, he like listened to a whole bunch of music or whatever, and it was a trip because he would just when he would call or whatever, he'd like turn me on the music, and he was really like, dude, you gotta listen to Sex Packets, and he was just like going through all these songs. And when I listened to the album, um I'll say the difference between the Digital Underground first album and then kind of like Public Enemy and like all those groups at the time that were using a whole bunch of samples. The difference was because Shock could play, there was just a different element to the
Mm.
way the samples were used. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
with Hank Shockley and those cats, they would just have 12 samples going at the same time.
Hmm. Yep. Layers upon layers. But you're right, like Shock G's production felt to me, I didn't realize he was using samples till a lot later. I mean, you could hear it in the drums and stuff, but like I don't know, I feel like it to me it was, yeah, he was layering, but it was also like very like he kind of melted it together. You know what I mean? In an interesting way. Like looking back on it, like when I was a kid, I was just like, you know, I didn't
Oh
care. Like,
man.
you know.
Yeah. Nah, definitely ahead of his time, man. And
Hmm.
you know, and the funny thing about it is he had personal relationships with two of my favorite musicians. Um, one being George Clinton and one being
Hmm.
Prince. And it was amazing to me how, from the genius of their first album, he was able to have a relationship with the Prince and have a relationship
Hmm.
with a George Clinton. Like, and you know, and it was genius. Like what he
Yeah.
was doing was definitely, you know, some next level stuff. And you know, I had the privilege of seeing them play. Had to be around like 96, 97 the first time I saw him.
Oh wow.
I want to say, yeah, I want to say it was like 96, 97, and it was up in the Bay. And it was, you know what? That's not true. I saw them perform probably around 91, 92 in Los Angeles, but it was with Tupac. I want to say when I saw him, it was with Tupac and it was at Hollywood Live, and it was back when they just kind of they were rapping, but when I saw him in the Bay, I saw him with the band. And that's when I was like,
Oh.
that's when I was just like whoa, because
Hmm.
I remembered Shock was dope, but they had another keyboard player, this cat that was hell of a dope. And then they had these other musicians and whatnot. And me seeing them actually like I'll say the Roots kind of were doing what they were doing, but I had never really seen a hip hop band. And when I saw Digital Underground, I was just kind of like, dang. I was like, man, he really had the band that, you
Hmm.
know, like really with like the different whatever the gear Funkadelic had and all that, like they had the gear with the keys and everything, and I had just never seen a hip hop band like do that, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why, I mean, obviously that's why George Clinton liked him, but and Prince, because they can hear, you know what I mean? They can game recognize game, you know, like they
Dude,
just can hear
so
it.
so to that point, there was this group that I ran across that was like retro dance music. Are you familiar with Maloko?
Mm.
Okay. She sung that song, sing it back,
Oh
sing
yeah,
it
yeah.
back to
Yep,
me.
yep, yep.
So there's a group that's they might be out of Sweden. They're somewhere like Eastern Europe or whatever. And I found them on IG. So I took it to Brown and I was like, and they have this one song, they just post this song a million. Like literally they probably been posting the song every day for about like 8 months. Like
Wow.
you know,
It's new, a new song?
it's 8 months old. They post,
Oh, like, yeah, that's new.
they're fans of them, but then I get it, you know, you want
Right,
people,
right.
you know, you've got to toot your own horn type of thing or
Yeah.
whatever. So I was thinking to myself, man, it would be dope if Brown kind of messed with them or something like that. Cause
Hmm.
they, you know, man, to me, the song is dope. And I'm kind of like, I don't understand why people aren't gravitating to it. But then, you know, they're
Hmm.
not doing any paid ads, I don't think, or whatever. I just literally just stumbled across it on IG. So I took it to Brown and I didn't tell him where I had met or heard the music or whatever. I just played the song and I said, you know, what do you think about this? And it's crazy, you know, him being a musician, he was like, you know, he didn't know who it was. I just said, you know, what do you think of this? And he said, well, it probably takes a lot for them to do what they're doing. And then I was like, a lot.
Mm.
And like his ear heard all the different tracks and layers they
Oh,
had
the
going on
yeah,
with
the
what it took,
lush.
yeah,
Yeah.
for them to do. Where I'm just thinking about it very one dimensional, and I'm kind of like, oh man, this just sounds like a dope modern disco kind of dance
Hmm.
cut or whatever. And then when I reheard it, when I re-listened to it, I was kind of like, oh shit, man, they probably got 50 or 60 tracks going on here with the girl singing and just, you know, everything
Yeah.
going on. But yeah, that was interesting. So which hip hop song would you say has been the most impactful in your life?
In the sense of just pure
Period.
listening, just listening, or
Period.
me personally,
Period.
ooh, hip hop song? Huh. I'm not, uh, honestly, I'm not saying this just because it's us, but like it's passing me by.
Dang.
It is because when it came out, I was like that. I was DJing like hardcore. The acapella is, readily available, so you're fucking with it every chance you get. Anything that's like 93 to 95 BPMs, passing by is going on top, and then I'm touring with you guys, so it's like to me that's the most impactful for me. That's personally.
You want to hear something crazy? I feel like that moment that people get when they relate to passing me by and the album Bizarre Ride,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was kind of stolen from me because being around it
You were
while
there.
but I didn't but because I was there, I didn't get what it like. I didn't
Mm,
have that effect. It didn't hit me that way. You know what I'm saying? And it
right.
wasn't until years later, and it wasn't like, and I told Brown that like several times or whatever, and it wasn't like I was dissing it, and I was like, I didn't get into it until afterwards. But then you got to understand, if you're around something and you're hearing like take after take after take after take in the
Mm,
studio, and you're hearing it chopped up, and then
ah,
after you hear it like being made for like a very like the songs for a very long time, and then you hear it in its entirety because you've been around for all these months with all the little bits and pieces coming together. It's kind of like being in the kitchen and tasting some really good food while it's being made,
mhm.
but you're hella snacking on it. You're hell of a snacking,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
You
it's good.
smelled it when it was just garlic and onions sitting on the counter.
And then when the meal is prepared and put out there for you, it's still good and it's dope, but you're not getting,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, the whole impact. But that's interesting.
yeah. But for the audience, so the audience knows, yeah, I was DJing for the Far Side, so that's why personally to me it's just the most impactful because I was not only grew up on it and kept that in my that song was in my crate for the entire time until Serato when we didn't have crates anymore, and then
So
I'm doing
you're
it
saying
live.
before, so
So,
you're saying it was in your crate before we had the relationship.
oh yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah, it was on all my mixtapes. Like it, dude, it's yeah, it was very impactful even before. But the fact that like then I was out with you guys performing it every night was like, and that kind of solidifies. I can't think of one off the top of my head that's even close. Yeah, one singular song. You know what I mean? Like I don't, I mean, there's other songs that I'm like, okay, that if I'm in the mood for whatever, like, but that was the constant, in a weird personal way.
Interesting. Interesting. The funny thing for me, I would say the most impactful song. You know what? I'll go so far to say song and album. Edutainment.
Edutainment?
By Karis One.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the reason, dude, when I heard that album, I was so hard on being a vegetarian.
Yeah.
I was sweating people for eating McDonald's fries. I'm like, there's beef in those fries.
Oh my
I was
God.
going off. I was going off that album, man, man, oh man. And the funny thing about it is, um, the contemporary music that they have now has the effect on people. The content is just totally different. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like it's just the kind the the subject matter, content, all that is just totally different. So
Hmm.
on to the next one. Wild Style or Beat Street, and why?
To me, Beat Street.
Me too.
I just that's another one. Just personally, that I don't know what I could watch. I mean, I could watch them all, but like Beat Street, just to me felt like uh I don't know. It was just like the perfect hip hop movie, for that time because it brought all the elements in without being like, oh, we have the elements, like look, we have graffiti and look, he's an MC. Like it was just natural. It's just the way it was, like yeah, every group. Okay, I think I'm by myself now. Um, all right, we're live, Splendid Radio. Um, I don't see Greg. I'm just by myself. We're doing this. Maybe I should log off because I think Greg needs to hop back on, or maybe he just joins and then then we're back to normal. I don't know. We'll see. How's everybody doing? Um, let's check the chat. Nobody. So I'm really just talking to myself. Oh yeah, Nick, it's a party now. It is a super party. Just us two. Just me and Nick. How's it going, Nick? We're just hanging. Yeah, he joined. Yeah, I'm just gonna stick around. I think he joins again. I think we have the technology to make this happen, to bring it back to the glory that it once was 5 minutes ago. Okay, he just texted me. I'm gonna log off and we'll log back in.